Feeling unease in your relationship? Let's reignite that spark that once brought you in to the very relationship you're in. I'm your host, Alpha Mshihiri, on this Fun Sunday edition. I want to have a quick conversation to my brothers and to some of my sisters who have found interest in this program. Relationship is one of those things that have been very complex, despite the fact that we partake on them each and every single day. So today I want to talk about I call it the first step. I'm not very big in talking about principle, fundamental, and everything else. Before I go further, my name is Alpha Mshihiri, and I just love to be able to help and guide others elevate their relationship level. Because I've in the 28 years that I've been in marriage with my wife, today I say I am more happier than ever before. I look at her with an eye that is just the same. It has the same tone, curiosity as the one I saw her standing at the cafeteria, in front of the cafeteria in the college we attended together. She was standing there with a red jacket on and a black slack with two of her friends, and I looked with that curiosity. I'm like, wow, what a beautiful girl she is. And today, I still have the same level of curiosity. I still look with the same way, with that eye, but it's a little bit fine-tuned than before. It wasn't a coincidence, not because I'm lucky, because we did something along the way. I found it easier to make decisions that progress us forward and take pride of making decisions, of proving that I am this or that. And she did the same. So today I want to talk about an important component to a relationship, which is about making decision. Making decision is the most important things in a relationship that you can ever think about. You might say, oh, to love her, to do this, but you cannot do those things right if you don't know how to make decision intentionally. Our decisions often are fostered by our fear, by the circumstances, by the things that we see, and you say, I'm making this decision because of this or that. You got to make decision intentionally. And it's hard to do so if you don't understand if there's such a thing, because you've always lived your life being perpetuated by the circumstances at the time. This is what has happened, so I have to do this. You don't have to do anything, but you have to do a decision-making process, and it have to be intentional. If you don't know how to do that, then it's a problem. Early on in my marriage, we had this issue. My wife was coming from a I wouldn't call it toxic relationship, but there was not much trust. So she was bringing in the same energy into our relationship. I didn't have that. And I've always been a people person. And actually, I loved her because when we were dating, she was kind of the people person. But after we got married, not that she changed. She approached, because at that time we were friends, so it didn't matter. I will find female friends, I would hug, we'll talk and joke, and I might be lost in a conversation for a minute with a female, but it's just a common conversation. I'd be like, Alpha, I haven't seen you for so long, and I will lost it, and then I would return to her. We were friends, we were going out together, just to clubs, having fun, all of that together. So it didn't matter then. I would always introduce her, but now when we got married, she started being this. If I dive into this conversation, she's like, but I saw the woman the way she was looking at. You know what she was doing? She was looking at my relationship with other female through the eyes of her past relationship. So it started being frustrating me in terms of how do I go forward with this. But there was a common theme. When we got married, we made a commitment. We didn't make commitment to each other. We made a commitment to a goal. Because there was level of fun that we were having before we even became intimate, involved. As friends, we were enjoying each other's company. We care for one another. We talked all the time. And when we became involved intimately, the spark of love that there was that spark that I looked at her with a certain curiosity. I smiled looking at her. I loved seeing her smile as she loved to see me smile. Her joy was my joy, so as my joy was her joy. So we said we're going to make commitment to keep this spark alive. That was a commitment, not commitment to a marriage that we don't even know what it means. But for us, it was important to keep that spark alive. Spark both in public, in social settings, as well as in private. There was that spark curiosity that came when we're intimately involved in our private moment. We said we are going to continue to keep that spark alive. So that became the very lamp that ordered our steps. So when I said I was being uncomfortable with certain things that was happening after getting married, I didn't look that she was offending me. I looked at guess what? Our ideal is in question. Because we were going to keep the spark. If going out in a social settings, it creates a problem, then the ideal we created is likely to suffer. And because of that, I made a decision quickly to change how I approach things. And we started having a conversation in order to keep the spark alive. We had a destination, a goal, a place, a why. Call it whatever you want. But in this concept, in these settings, I call it a spark. There was that spark. We were going to keep it. We were going to do everything we can to make sure that it stays. And that's what we did. And because of that, it solved that situation. And every time when we found ourselves in situations, we made decisions. Not because I hurt her or she hurt me or because of anything else. We went back to why, this spark. Because that is what we came into the relation from the beginning. It's not because she was beautiful. Yes, she was beautiful. But the beauty came with this package, this fun experience, this thing that we enjoyed each other. We made a decision we're going to continue to enjoy one another regardless. So decision making became easier, is intentional now, and the intent is to maintain the spark. It's not because of the circumstances of the moment. Yes, the circumstances of the moment brought us to make decision, but we could make decision quicker without dragging it. If I needed to get help in order to keep the spark alive, I did it. I went and ventured in things that I never thought I could. There was a time I was so stressed out with business, I didn't know a lot of things. So from the business world, I was allowing my business stress to come home with me. Even though I did everything I could to leave it behind, I had a ritual. I took this long drive from my office, and it's usually on fall time, summertime. It's beautiful because there's like, you don't see homes, it's just trees, and that experience gave me a particular feeling that I wanted. And when I got home, we had a beautiful garden in the back of the house. So I would get out of the car, and instead of going to the house straight, I had this ritual that I am going to walk around the house, especially in that garden, and just kind of release the tension that I was experiencing throughout the day. But I didn't know that the tension, it is in the mind, not in my physical environment. So as long as, even though I took my time, I just reduced the intensity. So I would come home, I will get in the house now, and I would behave in a certain way because I still have that tension or that issue that I needed to resolve on my mind, and it weighed heavily on me. And of course, like anything else, because if you're having so much to think about in a negative way, it reduces your blood flow. It puts you in tension because it directs the blood flow somewhere else. And there intimately becomes an issue. It wasn't that it wasn't happening, but it wasn't, as the spark was not there alive. I'm like, where is it? So I went and paid for a program to learn things in order for me to improve myself because I wanted to keep the spark. There was that mission. And at that time, business was not going so well, but my relationship was more important than the business. I could go and make money anywhere else because it is out. If the relationship thrive, I get my inspiration from it. I can have a very successful business if the house, the home is not safe, is not peaceful. I sleep there, I eat there. I need to be able to come home with expectations and joy. So I spend significant amount of money to be able to retain, to keep the spark alive. Just like you make sure that you pay your gas bill, your electric bill because you want to keep the light on in your home. You have to be able to do the same thing for your relationship. And if you do that, it changes things. It creates a new door, a new window, and it makes certain things possible. And that became the case in my life. But decision making allowed me to feel independent, but yet connected because I was independently making decision consistent with the spark or the why in our relationship. I hope that you can see the connection. It's not a lot of people are making decisions. You have made a decision. Your partner have made a decision. Decision to walk away from a relationship, decision to do certain things that you shouldn't have done, not because you cannot do them, because they are not conducive to the very spark, the why, the reason to. If today you decide that you're going to the grocery store and you get in the car and you're about to head to the grocery store and you know you have to come home, maybe you're cooking a meal and you need a particular ingredient or particular things to be able to finish the meal, or you have to cook a meal to eat, or you have to have some of that meal to carry to work tomorrow. What you're going to do, you're going to get in the car and head to the grocery store so that you can get the stuff you need. On your way to the grocery store, if somebody, a friend of yours calls and say, man, James, Jimmy, Lily, Jackie, whatever the name you are, can you come over? I have an event here, man. You come over and let's hang out for the whole day. Quickly, you're going to say, ah, man, I would love to do that, but I got to take care of this thing first. Maybe let me go and take care of this and I can swing by quickly and then head home because I have a busy schedule. You will not allow something else to derail your destination, your plan. And you make decision intentionally consistent with the plan. You see that your decision to go to the grocery store instead of going to the friend is because you have a commitment. You have a why. You have a reason. So any other reason that it contradicts that is not consistent with your interest. You have the right to go to your friend's party. You wake up in the morning, you have a major presentation at work or with a client or a job interview that will change your financial situation in a very drastic way. Guess what? On your way there, a friend of yours call you up. Just a simple another example. You're excited, you're prepared, you've done everything else to go to that meeting. You have that destination, you have that goal, that why for that very day. And your friend calls up and says, man, you can't believe what's happening. I mean, it was I started a simple process and the party is lit. Come and enjoy this party. And maybe you're a party goer. Would you go derail your commitment and go to that party? You have the right to go to the party. It's your choice. Most of you, because most of you are reasonable people, you will decide to pursue your commitment. You will tell your friend politely, but man, how long will it last? Will it still going on maybe after 3-4 hours? Because I have this thing I got to do. After I'm done, I am free. I might swing by. Maybe you love to drink, you would love to eat. You say, I just made this meal. You're going to say, man, I would love to come and get it. But guess what? Can you save it for me so I can go and do what I got to do? And when I come back, I will come and see you. You stay committed. to that which you have defined to be your ideal at the moment. And that is true about relationship. When you have a spark, I call it a spark, but you call it a why. You can call it a vision. You can call it a goal. It's not five goals. Why did you get into that relationship to begin with? There was something about it. That is the spark, I call it. And our decision should be in relationship to that. But that decision making process, the reason is important, it's empowering you to feel independent. I'm not making it because of her. Because sometimes we get into these situations that I don't want to make decision because of her. She's always this, and then now it becomes her against him. So you're not making decision because of her or because of him. You're making a decision because of this spark, this vision. There is a vision. There is a goal. There is an intent. There is a why. So I'm making a decision because of why. Because the why is more important than my feeling. It's more important than her or him. Hope that makes sense. When I'm talking about decision, I'm not talking about decision just because I've made a decision. I've made my decision. What is that decision? I'm gonna walk away. I can't be in this relationship anymore. So you didn't believe in the why then. You didn't, and maybe most of you, the reason you are making decision, the reason you are where you are, if it is in a place of pain, is because you didn't clarify. You didn't hold on to this why. I found myself so many times in so many places where I was on the right. Something went wrong and my wife was not happy. And yes, I was on the right side of that thing. But I knew if I bring my rightness into the picture, it undermines the why. And I want the why more important than my right to be. So the decision making became easier and prompt. Because I'm going to make a decision in favor of the why. Because the why is the most important thing in our relationship. I am relating to the why as the most valuable thing in my life as it relates to our marriage. So I'm going to stick to the why. I want to keep the spark alive. I want to feel it again. I want to continue to be in it. And guess what I have to do? Now I have to make a decision. So in those moments, I said, I am sorry, honey. I apologize. Psychologically, I've learned I apologize is better than I'm sorry. So I would say, I apologize, honey. I apologize that I should have done better. I should have known better. But we have come to an agreement that, when I'm making a decision, when I take an act, it's based on the knowledge that I have at the moment when I'm acting. Hindsight is a 2020 vision because you're looking after the fact. So it's easier for somebody to say, you should have known better, you should have done ABC. You're looking outside from the picture. There's a saying that if you're in the frame, you cannot see outside the frame. That's why greatest athletes, they still depend on a coach. The coach can't even juggle the ball, neither do the thing the athlete does, even half of what the athlete does. But why the athlete who is paid so much, who's worth so much in his or her talent, rely on a coach who cannot do half of that athlete does? Simply because the coach sees outside the frame. The athletes, when they're playing inside, they do not see outside the frame. That's the fact. So the spark becomes the coach in a relationship, because you might not have a coach who keep watching you guys, how you're doing in your relationship and give you guidance. But the spark, the why, becomes the coach, because it's standing outside the frame. It is standing outside your behavior, your thinking. It is standing outside behavior of your partner and your partner's thinking. it is standing alone there. And because it's standing alone, guess what? That spark becomes the coach, because now your decision is not based on who you are, it's based on the very foundation, the why. And it becomes easier to make that decision, but yet you're making it independently. So it gives you the independency that you need. When I went and say in those situations, I told my wife, I apologize, even though I was on the right and I had the right to express my rightness. But I was doing it independently. It wasn't influenced by her. She didn't say, you gotta apologize. No, no, no. I said to myself, the spark demands me to apologize, not her. Because sometimes we have that problem. I cannot apologize to him. I cannot apologize to her. You're not apologizing to her or him. You're apologizing to the spark. And actually, you're not apologizing. You're making it right to the spark. And in that process, you got to apologize. By changing the viewpoint, you're changing why you're doing what you're doing, and you're changing the experience you're having. So it wasn't difficult for me to apologize in those moments. And I'm very much confident in the moments where my wife, she had the right to, but yet she said, I apologize, honey, for that. She didn't feel heavy burden to do so, because she was not doing it for me. She was doing it for the spark. It was important that she kept the spark alive, because that's the thing we committed to. We didn't commit to a marriage. What is a marriage to you? A union of two people? What does that mean? A union can be broken. People say, oh, because what God's put together, God can take apart. Why do we have a divorce rate that is almost 50%? And most of those marriages happen in church. So if what men put together, if God put together, no man can take apart. Why are things in apart everywhere? You misunderstood the scriptures, my friend. And I apologize. I just laugh because I've been where you are, and when I laugh, I'm laughing at myself. Because I was that ignorant. Ignorant doesn't mean a bad thing. It means that you've ignored knowledge. I ignore the knowledge that I've come to know today. And today, if you choose not to listen to me and just despise me and say just another bogus information, guess what? You ignore knowledge that could be valuable in your life. And by looking at that knowledge and see how you can implement or incorporate in your life, you are actually become wise. Because you are become capable of resolving the issue at hand in your marriage. But we go back to this issue, communication. Decision making, I'm sorry. Decision making is very, very important, but again, is not based on my emotions. So what is the most important thing beyond the decision making? Is identifying the spark, identifying the why. The video of this conversation is about decision making, but I wanted to be able to bring this idea why the why is important, why the spark is important, because it becomes the govern decision-making process, the point of view where you look at your relationship. Sometimes it's so hard, and I have like, for instance, I'm going to share a quick story. I have a friend, and a friend, they've been married for some time now. I don't know number of years, but they've been married for at least probably 20 years. But in their marriage, from the very beginning, my friend had this perception. He just loved to have sex. He loved it from different women. He just enjoys it. That's his joy. Why? He didn't ask me to coach him in that, so I just left it that way. But when he met his wife, and all these women that he met, none of them was what he called a marriage material. And he met his wife, and he said, this is a marriage material. So in his thinking, I don't know, it was the same in his thinking, in her thinking, but in his thinking, he said, okay, this is the marriage material. She has these particular qualities, so therefore I'm going to marry her. But when I want to have some fun, I'm going out there. And I'm assuming it wasn't a verbalized agreement, but it was a consent agreement. Because he will go out there in the midst of their marriage and spend a night. He will come in the morning home. She wouldn't question it because he comes home every single day. For her, that was important. So there was a view that they created early on in their relationship, and that became the why. And the why is probably he's a marriage material. She is a marriage material. That was sufficient enough between the two of them and have kept that marriage for this long without a problem because he's still the marriage material. So when she looks at his conduct, maybe when he comes home late, the only thing she wonders is, are you safe out there? And for them, that is enough. And he has demonstrated to be safe because for all these years, he doesn't have a child outside their marriage. So for her, that's safe. Yes, sometimes she's been frustrated. And I've been when you say, but she's frustrated. I said, no, she's frustrated with something else. When she's frustrated, it is because she believes in prayer. So when she prays and things don't work out instantly or doesn't work at all, she always questions him. What are you doing that you weren't doing before, that you're doing maybe too much of it? That's why we can't get our prayer answered. That's the only moment where she questions his actions. But then he will always remind her, we got into this marriage having this understanding. And I asked him one day, did you guys had it written or verbalized? He said, no. Even when I say this understanding, when he told his wife often that, she understands what he meant. So when I'm talking about defining this spark, doesn't have to be something that is written concrete. If you can write it and all agree on it, that's great. It doesn't have to be well defined, but you know in your heart why you got into it. For me and my wife, we knew that, and I told her that this gotta maintain because that's what makes me interested in this relationship, in this journey, or in this union or partnership, whatever you want to call it. I'm not going to be politically correct here or religious correctly. I'm talking practically. I'm just talking men to men, men to women. So I'm just giving you like that. I'm not going to try. I'm not against marriage. I'm not in favor of nothing. I'm in favor of a healthy and fun-filled relationship. That's what I'm a strong, a healthy relationship. That's what I'm interested. Call it whatever you want to call it. Because if I call it a marriage, but it's a stinking place, what good does it has? Or what good does it do? So I'm going to call it a healthy relationship. That's what I'm interested in. That's what this conversation is about. How you cultivate that healthy relationship with yourself. So when you go about now, you have that defined. Like I told you, this friend of mine, they have this thing defined, and their marriage is sustained on it. He have told me several times, he have gone out and do what he does. He comes home and the wife she's in her need. And his struggle trying to find the balance the two is sometimes when he come home, when she's in that need, he have difficult to perform. So I told him, I said, so why don't you start developing interest to perform at home? Because you're so excited to go and perform out there. That's where you can. But when you come home, because you said, I don't know what your definition of your marriage material, he never gave it to me. So my advice to him was like, start building interest at home. And in fact, he started. In the last couple of few years, he started being at home more often. In fact, he tells me he doesn't remember. The other day we were having a conversation casual quickly, and he said he doesn't remember the last time he was in a strip club, the last time he was in a club, whatever, the last time he got involved in. Because slowly when he started building interest at home, being interested at home become the spark. And because that becomes the spark, it is the destination. And therefore his behavior were consistent to mirror that spark. He never told me that he's having a problem anymore. Simply because he changed something. So decision making to him became easier and quicker because of the spark. And we had to redefine the spark. It wasn't a counseling service. We were just having a conversation of friends. And I told him, I said, no, if you go there and you've been doing it, But now you're having problem to fulfill this responsibility, which I believe this concept of marriage material came with that. And he said, yes, it did. I said, therefore, because they have kids, I said, the kids were a product of it. So therefore, it must be part of it. And he said, yeah, yeah, it is. So I said, therefore, because this marriage material was the theme, you have to be quick in making decision to restore this. Because if you can't do this, this marriage material is in question. How long will you go without doing this and think you can sustain the marriage material? And he said, I don't think if it will sustain because it's part of the package. So I said, start build. I didn't say change. I just said cultivate interest at home because you are so much interested out there. Now be interested more here than out there. And I gave him just a simple technique to do. My 3I framework: idealize, introduce, and iterate, which means identify the pain. The pain was he was having problem performing. And the opposite of the pain, because you think of the pain in order to define the ideal. Because idealize means to make something right that is not right, to straighten out something that is not straight, to make whole that which is not whole. And here, the pain he was having is something that he needed, that was a painful. And when he named it, I didn't say feel it. I don't talk about that's therapy. This is just a practical approach. So he named it, and then he thought of its opposite. He want to perform at home as much as he perform out there. Can serve two master, but I didn't want to tell him that. But I just wanted him to go through the process on his mind. And he said, okay, so if that's the case, I have to perform at home because I need to maintain this agreement, this why. And therefore, by doing so, then the first part is that idealize. So he named the reason. What is it? I want to perform because there is this why need to be fulfilled or maintained, or this spark need to be keep lit. And then from there, he went to introduce. You have to introduce that. You have to personalize. You have to become the thing you've idealized. So he had to think in his mind as a performer. He have to envision himself being a performer. And he have to look at himself as a performer. And after that, he had to iterate, which is continue to live in that manner, because that is the ingredients that will sustain this marriage material, whatever that definition to him was. And once he did that, guess what? He became a performer at home. And for him to be a performer at home, definitely out there will suffer. He will lose the interest. He didn't work toward losing the interest out there because that was so valuable to him. But I just helped him to see that it was more important to maintain this marriage material because he needed it. It is the reason why he got into the relationship. He told me before she was a marriage material and she think he was a marriage material. Whatever that marriage material meant to each and one of them. But that was the reason. And he wanted to maintain that. In order to maintain it, he went through this process to build the character. It had nothing to do about, I didn't condemn him about his behavior outside. I didn't say, man, you got to do right to your wife. I didn't go in any of those. How do you feel to do that to your wife? I didn't go through any of that. It was a simple process about shift of mind. And this process works amazingly because it's scientifically proven, spiritually supported and grounded, and psychologically true. And so he changed. And because he changed, guess what? His relationship now is much better. Surprising, this man tells me weekends he spend time with his wife. He supports her in different things. They are now a teamwork. Before, they've never been. She was just a marriage material, a mother of his children. That's what she was. But today, I talk to him, I'm like, I just smile. I don't remind him. I don't take, no. He did it himself. He did it. I just gave him the tool. But it gives me great joy to see that relationship that I don't know where it could have been. But today is at its heightened state simply because it took this simple approach. a decision making. But he didn't make decision based on, oh, I'm a man, I can do this. Because if it comes from a culture that they like to say that. I'm a man, I can do this. She's my wife, she have to obey to me. A dominant culture. And it's so many of you are in those, you've grew up in those cultures where told you are the man, the head of the house. It's okay. But what good that head of the house have done to you? If you're not watching, if that head of the house didn't help you, so why you want to hold to something that is not helping you? It's funny that how we want to hold to things that have no value to us. And I've been there. I went to, I have clothes that I bought. I don't even know if I can say it. I bought it probably over 10 years ago. I still have, I don't wear them regularly, but there's still some of them, they are still as crispy as they were bought because I hardly wore them. And luckily that I haven't changed. My body hasn't changed a lot, so I can still wear them and they feel fine. So the other day, I went, about a couple few months ago, I went to my closet. I'm like, what the heck am I holding these clothes for? It's been this long, and I still hold into them. They are no longer doing me any service because I haven't wore them any more than I could. If for 10 years I haven't wore them more frequently, what will I think I'm going to wear them for now? Yes, they are professional shirts, so you can wear anytime. There were no particular season that you could wear any single time. Yes. So what I did, I thought, what the heck am I hoarding these clothes for? I went peeling one after the other, took them out, fold them, I look and make sure they're all clean and looking good. I fold all them up and gave them away. Half of my closet was filled with clothes that some of them were as 10 years old. There was a type of shoes that was my first shoes that I bought that worth over $100. Was the first shoes. I struggled to give it away, and I still have it. It's been maybe it's a 10-year-old shoes. It's still clean. I hardly wear it regularly, not because I was saving it. It's just I just choose. I have this thing. This shoes is for outing. This shoes is for regular daily usage and everything else. So if I'm not doing a lot of those, then therefore I am not wearing a lot of that. And therefore it hardly wears because it's not consumed every single time. And because of that, so you find yourself that you can do more of these things. And that's what happened to me. So I cleaned up all of that. It wasn't adding value in my life. But most of you like to hold into things that are no longer serving you right. Oh, I have the right to do this. I have the right to do that. That's me. I am a man. I am a woman. This is how we are. That's who I am. But is it adding value to you? I was talking to my mom the other day, and she was talking about how it's important to do these things. I'm not going to name the thing because some of you might be offended, and we're going to lose the focus on the conversation. So I'm going to keep it things. She's talking about it's important to do these things, and we have to do these things because these things are. And she went through this spiel of things. So I asked her a simple question. I said, Mom, you've been doing these things for all these years as I know you as a mother. But yet these things have not add value or change you because I see on this area, on that area, on that area, you have been struggling all along. Simply means the things are not doing you right. Because if they are that important, they should add value. My spark in my marriage is very, very important. And it adds value because that's why I'm still happy today. I'm happier today than when it started because my level of understanding is different. And therefore, because the spark is the destination, the journey becomes even more interesting. It's like going in a road trip. Last spring, me and my wife and our kids, we took a road trip to Dallas. There were so many cars when we were about to rent, the cars that we could take. We could take a simple sedan car. We could take a mid-range truck, SUV, or a full SUV. We decided to take a full SUV because we wanted to enjoy the journey. But regardless of the type of the car we would have taken, we would still have gotten there. But the level of luxury experience we would have in our journey there would have been different. Imagine if you take a car that you're so cramped, you're sitting, you're driving. Yes, you're going to get there, but the tension, your body that you've put in is different. So the vehicle that takes you there makes a difference. And because it makes a difference, you want to make a decision to have a vehicle. When we first started this relationship with my wife, we get into a marriage, the spark was still the destination. But the tools we dealt with were much minimum. We had not much knowledge that we have today. So we're still maintaining the spark, but in a different way. But it's still the spark. And we're still getting the satisfaction based on the level of our understanding. As we grew older in knowledge and understanding, so is our experience in our journey. And therefore, that's why I say today our experience is much better because our understanding is much greater. And my decision making process is much faster than before because I see the value of maintaining and sustaining the spark. I hear a lot of times you hear when you talk to veterans, they say, I served my country because I wanted to protect the freedom we have. So the freedom becomes the very essence why they do what they do. And they will fight over and over. They are willing to lose their life because they want to protect this concept called freedom. What are you willing to do to protect? What decisions are you willing to make to protect that which is valuable in your relationship? Not her, not him. It has to be something else. Because if you look at her or him as the thing you need to protect, you're going to run afoul, my friend. Because that person will disappoint you. They will hurt you. They will do things you say, I cannot believe they've done that. But when you shift the thing, because it's like if, we've had 47 presidents in the United States. Each president have its own good and bad because that's what makes them who they are. You got to have a mixture of the two, sweet and salt. And in that manner and fashion, none of these soldiers were serving the president. The president or the commander-in-chief might issue the order, but they're not serving that person. The reason they go to that war is not because the president ordered them, because they are protecting this thing called freedom. And they will do it over and over and over without questioning whether they're going to die. They've seen their colleagues, their friends, and maybe even their family have died in that journey. But they are willing to embark on it because freedom is more important. The protection of it is necessary. If you told them they have to serve the president comes and goes and they change. Policies changes, but the concept of freedom remains the same. The reasons why we protect that freedom might be different, but yet is the freedom that is need to be protected. And here comes the relationship. The spark, the why, the reason becomes the essence why you do what you do. You have to do that which you need to do, not because of her, not because of him, because of this freedom, because of this idea, this ideal. To me, we needed to make that, keep the spark, the love, the joy, the smile, and all of those things were the elements that are important to us. The warmth that I felt then, I wanted to continue because that's the reason I got in. Why will I go and not getting it? There's a place I go and get ice cream all the time. The reason I go to get the ice cream because it have a particular taste that is so nice. makes me go again and again and again. But if that place did not, if they change that flavor that I go for often, guess what? I'm not going to go for it again. It's simple, not that complicated. And I'm trying to make it as simpler in defining it and clarifying it as I can. And the reason why but I have to have that flavor. If the ice cream case, that flavor is my spark. That's the reason I go to that store. Not because, and if maybe let's say a particular employee, maybe I was young and I'm looking for a particular girl or something, and maybe she works there, maybe that's the reason why. The moment she's no longer there, then I have no reason to go to that store. But in this case, it's the flavor, a particular flavor of ice cream. That flavor is available everywhere. Butter pecan. But for some reason, this particular shop, there is a way they make this butter pecan ice cream. It feels much richer in my mouth. And I like it. And so I keep going. Simply, it is that flavor. But soon as they change the flavor, unless they enhance it, but if the quality goes down, I will never go there again. So you do the same thing every single day. So what you think happens to your relationship? If you cannot define that spark, you cannot define that why, and you keep wondering and you're just doing everything else you want to do, you can do a million things in that relationship. But if you're not maintaining the why, that relationship will crumble. It'll have some cracks and holes. And any cracking and every holes is a tension on your side. Every tension in your side is putting you in a flight fight mode. And every flight fight mode, it's adding the risk of you getting sick. It's compromising your immune system. Your body starts releasing toxic hormones in your own. You are destroying yourself. And you're denying yourself the joy of being joyful. That's very, very sad. That you deny yourself the right to be the best person you want to be. So that's why decision making is important. But it is more important to make decision based on something valuable. A decision has to be intentional. And the intentionality, it comes from a particular area. You say, this is the reason why I'm making decision. Soldiers keeps goes and goes and come because they are there to say, I'm going to protect my freedom, the freedom of the people. So they go out and serve. The police officers, the risk they're facing, no matter what they intend, they have the why. And that why becomes the reason they're willing to risk everything else, the danger and everything that comes with it, to go and do the job they do every single day. That reason could be good to you, could be bad, but regardless, it is the reason that gets them there. And their behavior will be consistent with that reason. If you have a police who want to have authority so they can continue to do their nefarious things in the disguise of the authority they have, guess what? They will get into the police force for that purpose. And when they get into the police force for that purpose, they will carry out activities and they will behave consistent with that, no less, no more, unless the purpose changes. So you enter into a marriage, there was a spark. And guess what? You saying, you know what? Things don't work out. We don't understand each other. We are yelling all the time because you don't remember the spark or never even thought about it. And you're doing everything else. You think those things are the things that will save. You can have 10 principles, 25, 100, whatever number of principles or steps you take, unless they're leading you back to that. And therefore, your behavior is dictated to that, not because of him or her, because of that. Once that becomes the centerpiece, that becomes the coach, because it is ordered and demand you to behave in order to continue to enhance the survival of that. And as long as that continue to survive, the relationship will be in harmony. Because it's controlled by that, not because of him. When you go in and trying to brag yourself, I'm a man, I gotta do this, be that. And he's not gonna help you, my friend. Because it might be that woman who you were able to dominate her because she wanted somebody to dominate her. But then she wakes up one day and says, no, this is not love. This is not life. I want more than this. And the moment she demands that, you say, oh, you're undermining me. I am a man. Give me a break. You're always a man, whether, no matter. Being in control doesn't make you a man. Being the loudest doesn't make you a man. Having deeper pocket doesn't make you a man. No, having less money doesn't make you a woman. Being submissive doesn't make you a woman. Do not submit to a man. Submit to the why. Because if you submit to why, that means you're going to behave consistent with why. And if the why is why you guys get into it, therefore, if you become the why, therefore you are into it. And if you're into it, there's harmony. That's the principle. And that's why I have this 3I framework, not as a step, not as a, say, oh, this you have to do. No. It's a way. It's a means. I'm sitting here in the living room at the corner of my living room. But I look on this side, there's a patio door that leads to the patio, and then I can walk out of the patio outside. But I look at my right-hand side, there's a door. Farther down there's a door. And that door leads out to a hallway that takes me out. So I'm sitting in the places that there's 2 different ways of going up. But also, I can go further down and find another door. I can find a window that I can get out through the windows. So there's so many ways of getting out. But which way is the correct way? It is depending on why am I doing what? If I want to go out right now, the patio door is the easiest way. And maybe because the patio door might lead me to where I park the car. And I want to go get something in the car. I'll use that door because it fulfills the why. The door is the means. If I have to, maybe I got to get my shoes and do this and do that, I'm going to go through that other door, get to the hallway and walk out. Let's say I want to take garbage out. I cannot take through the patio. I can if I want to, be kind of a little bit confused because the garbage bin is not on the patio. So I have to go through the hallway and take it on the other side to go to where I can put the garbage. So you see the why. And so my 3I framework is just a tool. It's not a step on how to become. It's a tool that guides you to become the very person you want to be. So I don't offer steps like principles of whatever. I've heard many people, but those for the author, the teacher, there's an intent behind it. Mine, the framework is simple, a means, a tool that will guide you in the decision-making process. And the reason that is important because to me, because a lot of people don't know why they're in relationship. Oh, we're married. So marriage? No wonder many marriage falls apart. Because what is marriage to you? A pastor told you that? A colleague, your parents told you? What does a marriage mean to you? Oh, we have people are going to get married. And we had people talking about, oh, young people don't get married today. They don't understand what it means. You think if they do understood, they will do that which they understand. Today, the young generation, they're questioning things. My kids are asking me, question me stuff. Say, Dad, why, I don't have to. I'm like, wow, I couldn't do that to my dad. My dad will be, swine. He have this thing he calls swine. When you hear the word swine, you've already gotten a slap in your face. So you zip your mouth. But how do you change your relationship? How do you improve the quality of your relationship? The beauty of this principle, it has nothing to do with your partner. So this coaching that I do, I don't need to have your partner to come along. I am coaching you so you can perform the best under the circumstances. So you can show up as the best person each and every single moment. And because you show up as the best person, it's easier for you to succeed in that relationship. In fact, it makes it possible. So I'm dealing with you. You are the very subject. Once we idealize, we don't say, I tell people, and you've heard this probably before, write down. So when we say you idealize, you say, and sometimes you might be like, because it's I'm hurt. And I've done where you say, okay, what is your partner doing to you? What is that? Sometimes it's easier for people to think in that way. They say, oh, she's doing this, or he's doing this, and doing that, and doing that. I said, okay, can you list it down? And he said, okay, these are the things the person, my partner, is doing. I said, what is the opposite of it? I said, okay, these are the things. This is the opposite. You need to be able to take the trash. You need to be able to do this. You need to be able to do that. Because I'm taking the trash all the time. I said, okay, let's idealize. Let's you become the thing. Don't ask somebody to be anything that you're not willing to be. Never. That's my principle. I'm sharing with you because I am doing them every day. Nothing I am going to say or teach that I haven't done. At beginning, when I started this journey, I didn't want to pay for things. I wanted free stuff. So I looked around to get for free stuff. It didn't take me nowhere. I gained knowledge, bits and pieces, but I couldn't really execute them peacefully or consequentially to bring the results that I'm looking for. Guess what? I couldn't have asked people to pay for anything that I was teaching because I was not willing to pay it myself. And I offered everything I had for free. I struggle with cost. I said, how am I going to price this? Maybe they cannot afford. And I went through that and it was difficult. Guess what? When I was willing, I was ready, and I started paying for things, pay for programs. I spend money. Yes, in some cases I didn't have the money myself, but because I was passionate about it, my wife said, I'm going to finance it for you. And guess what? I am not ashamed to ask people to pay for things that I'm teaching. Because I've gone through it. That's why I said I cannot ask anybody to do something I haven't. And often I ask people to pay for much less than I've paid to gain the knowledge I've gained. The skills, the tools that people are willing to give it to me because they too have gone through that. And I'm like, okay, I'm willing to do that. So when you identify, say, my husband, my wife, these are things they should do this and this and this and this. I said, do the opposite. What are the things? What do you want them to be done? These are the things you want to do. Okay. Then become the thing, which is introduced. Be the thing you want somebody to be. Be the thing that you have idealized. And then iterate. Continue to be. And if you do that, I'm telling you, I am confident your relationship will change. And today, maybe your relationship seems unsolvable. But don't focus on the unsolvability of it. Focus on the pain that it's causing you and become the solution you want to be. If you start focusing, we've already in a divorce decree. I have a client whom they were already divorced. And he said, I want my wife back. I said, let's not talk about what is the pain you are having. And he said, my pain is my wife is not with me. And I said, no. That's the reason. I said, what's the pain? And he said, when I come home, I was used to see her all the time. So I said, what does that say to you? He said, I feel lonely. I said, okay, so lonely is the pain. And he said, what else? He said, man, sometimes I think of the moments when we went to do this and that, and I'll just find myself crying. I said, okay. So is that companionship, the joy that you were looking for, the joy that kind of made you feel something more than what you are? And he said, sometimes he will come home and open the door. She will always either in the kitchen or something, and he would hear things in the house. When now he comes home, it's quiet. I said, these are the pain. That's what pain is. For him, he thought, oh, she's gone. No. So we went down deeper and we defined the pain. I said, what's the opposite? So she said, opposite is to be wholeness, not feel lonely. I said, okay. And then to feel happy when I come home, to feel that companionship, to be able to do things, to go out and do things that I need. So I said, okay, then let's become those things. And how do we become? I have to think as if I am. I have to feel as if I would have felt if it was true. I have to see that which I want to be as if I am in my mind. And he went through the exercise of how he can implement those things in his life. He struggled with it like anything else. If I told you to start writing with your left hand, since you're writing, your strength is on your right, you will struggle doing so. So he did. But practice, because iterate means to repeat. So he repeated the process over and over. Within about a month, he was confident to do those things. And in fact, it changes his mood. He felt better. His performance at work picked it up even better than when he was in the relationship. Because he was going in a relationship, he was looking for her to give her the fulfillment. Now he's fulfilling it himself. And he told me that he was much freer than ever before. And a few months later, he said, if I invite you to a wedding, will you come? I said, you're getting married? He said, you can't believe. I said, I've heard every story. He said, a few weeks or whatever, he was somewhere and he was doing his thing and he ran into his ex-wife. And he said, she looks beautiful than ever. And she said to him, he looks more handsome and more happier than ever. And they had a conversation and everything else. And in fact, that night, she went to his house. And they did what they knew what to do best. And since then, he have found himself just being able to do things that it was difficult to do because he was doing it for her. Now he's doing it for that spark. Because he said, now I could see the spark. And because there was a spark that I was doing to, it didn't matter what she does. Even if she did the thing that might have annoyed me before, suddenly I will always keep my eyes on the spark. And they got remarried. Their relationship is much healthier, better. And he said there was a time she had asked him specifically, he said, can you tell me what you did? Because I want to do the same thing. You have done so well to change yourself. You are a better man than any man I've ever known. I want to become that better woman than any woman you've ever known. What a beautiful thing. And he tells me, and I'm like, oh my God, that's sweet. She took a course. She invested in herself. And together they have the same knowledge. So they're doing the same doing. They're walking the same walk. There's nothing you cannot afford if you're willing to invest. Invest in yourself, my friend. Learn how to make decisions, not based on emotion, nor the circumstance, nor situation of life. Rather, based on that spark. Learn to define it, understand it, commit to it, and becomes the reason and the why of each and every decision. Let that become your coach, your private coach. So your decisions will be dictated by it. It is in that place where you actually become it. And because you are it, there is no reason why a relationship will fail. I'm here to assist if you want. But otherwise, you have enough information to start your journey. Reignite that which was always there. We do not seek love, nor do we go after love. Rather, love is always within us. We rise to it and become it. The mystery of a phoenix, if you've heard the phoenix, it is that it is the bird that was burned to ashes, but rose again to life. In order to rise to that which you want to be, you must die from that which you are so that you can let it go. And to die doesn't mean you lose your life or anything else. To die simply means you stop giving attention. Attention is life. I am watching this, I'm recording this video, my attention is here. I am living in this moment. The moment I turn my attention somewhere else, you will not be interested because you're like, oh, he's doing something else in the kitchen, in the camera. There's nobody in the camera. My attention have changed. So keep your attention where you want to be, and life will change. You will rise to where your attention is. You have become the phoenix. You have become the Christ. You are risen from the dead by dying from that which you used to be. It's about me. I'm a man. I'm a woman. I'm this. I am that. Hey, my name is, my job is, my profession. Those are great. But here, it is this spark that we are. We are this spark. So your income makes no difference here. It adds value, but not make a difference. Your professional doesn't make a difference. It adds value. But we're here. This is who we are. The spark. Because this is the reason why we are here. The reason you're still maintaining that job is because you're performing. The moment you fail to perform, you will lose the job. They will let you go. They will sack you if they say it. So there's a reason why you're there. You are there to get paid to meet your demands, but they are keeping you there because they need your performance. Once your performance is no longer valuable or needed, so you will no longer be there. So it's true in a relationship. If we don't have the spark, we might look at the spark from a different point of view, but still it's a spark that keeps us together. It is the why that keeps us together. So despite our different view, opposing view, we come in together under the umbrella of the spark, and we're going to perform consistent with the spark or the why. And therefore, that is the reason why we are still here. And it will continue to be, provided our eyes and our attention is on this spark. The moment that change, everything changes. Until then, I look forward to have another Sunday conversation. But in the meantime, start learning how to make decisions. And if you seek or need or interested in my help, the link is below this very video. Until then, I'll be back.